What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 17 of my Total War Warhammer 3 Malakai Makaisson Immortal Empires campaign. So as we saw last time, some pretty darn great battles culminating in Belegar Ironhammer joining us and fighting off Ikit Claw in a fairly close battle wherein we took quite a lot of damage and a decent portion of Ikit's army survived. We do leave, though that does leave us in a fairly interesting position as well, as there is a reinforcing army moving on in, though we don't know how far they can travel all the way to us, plus the remnants of Ikit's, while we're at about half HP in Belegar's army. So we'll see if he can go on. We should also move Thrani over here just so that he can join the army when it's available. And we could move back, but I feel like we need to stay as close to Ikit as possible. We certainly don't want to move closer to this army because we don't know what'll happen. Anyway, in addition to that, we knocked out the first of the 4 champions of the Chaos Gods with Grumbrindle, and he's drawing close to the second, the champion of Khorne, with a very nice looking army there, and what I expect to be quite the tough battle as well. Possibly even tougher than Slaanesh, because those Blood Crushers, in combination with Minotaurs, is going to be a nasty force for us to deal with. Now, in terms of what we got to do in this particular turn, there's actually quite a lot of it, and we don't have a lot of time to do it, as unfortunately we did not reach the engagement threshold this time around, so we'll be doing probably the shorter episode. And I say probably because, once again, there's a ton of stuff to do. That said, the engagement threshold remains at 250 likes and 40 comments, so it's still reachable for the next episode if it's reachable. Anyway, in terms of what we actually have to do here is this. I don't like this situation. We are in a massive deadlock with the huge piles of armies that Vlad has under his command right now, and we have 2 armies essentially, one of which we actually fully want to delete because we got it from the Confederation in Belegar. And frankly, this army was sort of meant to be a placeholder here, but this deadlock is wasting us so much money every turn. So 4.5k and 5.5k. 10,000 gold plus our supply lines are at 2.5k or something like that right now, meaning these 2 armies are costing us 12.5 thousand gold per turn, and they're not doing anything, which is bothersome, to say the least. I think what we have to do here is risk both armies. It'll probably mean that even if we should succeed in attacking, and the only 2 places we can attack are Waldenhof and Castle Drakenhof at the same time, even if we were to win both, more than likely one of these armies will then immediately get destroyed by this army, as it has, by the looks of it, a ton of elites and probably more than we can see as well. Man, these guys are getting a lot of Vargulfs. Huh. I take it they're not building them. I assume that the AI has some kind of cheat with Raise Dead as well, and can raise more things than it should normally be able to, because it really does have a lot of elites, and yeah, oh, that's a lot of Vargeists and Vargulfs. But anyway, this is the plan. We're going to have Skorigny attack Vlad, and we're going to have Barundin attack Meinrad here. Before we do, let's move everybody else around, though, because we need to figure out how much we can do there. Now, Stochel. Okay, actually, you have considerations as well. Where can you go first? Okay, so you can't go here, meaning you're gonna go down here, and then we'll have to decide whether we send you up towards the Fetid Catacombs and then this way, and then Stochel moving up this way, because he could reach Infernius quicker, eh? Maybe that's the way to do it. Because then we'd be able to go back to the Silver Tower of Sorcerers. Yeah, all right, let's do this. Snorri, you're going to go down here. You're going to grab the Folly of Malefics. We'll probably trade away the Twisted Towers as well while we have left it. Auto-resolve this. I assume we're not going to take damage to this, and indeed we do not, and we will probably not have enough room to sack it, so loot and occupy it. More research on Garagrim as well. Nice. Legendary battle unlocked. Oh, wow, okay, we have even more battle potential. Which battle is this? Is this the demon battle? Yes, it is. Now, what does this give us? Rune of the Furnace, assigned Slayer unit Forge Fire. That's kind of interesting, I guess. It's kind of interesting, though, to be fair, since runesmiths have Forge Fire, it would be useless in Ungrim's army, but it could be useful in Snorri's army, so there is that. And what's the other thing? Army ability. Gyrocopter launch. Gyrocopter launch? Is this for all armies? Are you telling me all armies will be able to suddenly summon gyrocopters? Okay, change of plans. This needs to be prioritized. I did not think that there would be a gyrocopter launch available. I should have taken a quick closer look at that and gotten it on field. Would have really helped with those darn really good positioned Plague Claw catapults that we were facing off against last episode with Ikit. Malakai, I believe you've got to go. We're going to give this a read, and then we're going to jump on in. I want that army ability. Gottrik's incessant boasting about the bloodthirster he recently killed is getting annoying. You're adamant that it matters not who wields the axe. It will never be as effective as a good piece of artillery. With appearances of cornate demons and chaos's manling thralls on the rise, there is now ample opportunity to put your organ guns where your mouth is. Well, our cannons, because Gromby has all of our organ guns. But anyway. Weeks of tinkering with the war machines and drilling the warriors to fight alongside the organ guns has you primed for the bloodiest of battles. The bloodthirster's ravaging army threatens all with its insatiable lust for all-out slaughter. But once Khorne's wretched pet falls to the barrage of your artillery, many age-old grudges born of the bloodthirster's past massacres will also finally be struck from the Damas Khorne. And not only that, Gottrik will see that you are as great a slayer as he. Funnily enough, it talks about settling grudges with the destruction of the Bloodthirster, but none of the rewards actually give us any grudges settled, which is a bit of a shame. Now, reinforcements are expected, so we don't know where the big boy is coming from for our cannons to deal with, huh? Should be an interesting time. Away we go. Alrighty, what do we have here? Oh wow, okay. That is a lot more reinforcements than I was expecting. Alright, so we got 2 Bloodthirsters here. And I take it the Lord Bloodthirster is not available. Oh, it's this guy. Alright, so we got an Exalted Bloodthirster and 2 Flying Bloodthirsters, as well as a significant amount of Furies. Now, our Air Force is good, but it's a sort of... It's not an air superiority force, it's an air-to-ground superiority force, meaning we're going to have a tough time with them, though the Gyrocopters might be able to knock out the Bloodthirsters with cannon support, or the Gyro Bombers, before the big boys reach our airships, or at least that's the plan. Let's find out if it works. An exalted bloodthirster, pledged to the Lord of Murder, exists only to stain its hands with the blood of innocents, but no more. Malakai Makaisson marches to rain fire upon the beast and its infernal army, his organ guns calibrated to tear through the demonic flesh of the cornate scourge. Heralded by the echo of ordnance, the Slayer Engineer will show the God of Murder that this world will not fall to any of the Chaos God's desires without a fight, or may doom find him first.
Put a few holes in them to get the guns calibrated. Then the boss will come running. They underestimated us, bloody idiots. Here we go! Let's get stuck in! Glory! Boogie and Smithy, I swear we'll destroy the foe! Judicious use of advanced technology, naturally!
Alrighty, well that sounds like a pretty solid way to calibrate your weapons to me. Here we go, let's begin calibrating. Now it looks like we have a pretty advantageous setup, or at least this battle is designed this way. The enemy has 2 bridges which they're both crossing, and we have artillery situated near both bridges to gun the enemy down. Not organ guns perhaps, but we've got grape shot cannons, and they should be pretty darn effective at this thing as well. Granted, this is only the start of the enemy assault, so it's a relatively limited number of infantry units, but they're certainly going to have a tough time crossing a bridge like this when blobbed up especially. We've also got support from our gyrocopters gunning the enemy down, or gyro bombers rather, and from both of our Thunder Barges, sending these demonic units off fairly quickly, and their mortal followers nearly as quickly as well. Also, this map just looks fantastic. Loving all the Khorne stuff around. As usual, I have nothing but praise for the Realms of Chaos maps, and the Khorne maps especially. They always look very nice. Puts me in that Doom mood, and could really use a Doom soundtrack for this kind of thing. Lovely. Just taking a quick look around, huh? A little floating lava thing. Anyway, back to the actual battle. Looks like the first of the enemy reinforcements have arrived just as the enemy infantry gets seen off. They will, of course, continue taking shots to the back, but perhaps we could have conserved ammunition. I'm not entirely sure. Hopefully it doesn't come back to bite us. A couple of enemy lords. Okay. First of the enemy lords gets gunned down fairly quickly via our cannons, but the second one charges on through a Herald of Khorne, which, by the looks of it, we will still be able to bring down. And down you go, sir. Alrighty, but he's allowed one of the soul grinders to get a little bit closer and at least take a couple of shots with its precursor cannons. But, well, let's just say we out-cannon the enemy fairly significantly here, and the soul grinder will follow the Lord. And down it goes, disappearing and once again. Now, we've got more piles of infantry coming, including some Chaos Knights of Khorne leading, but they're being focused down by the cannons, and pretty darn effectively, I should say. In fact, even without grape shot, with the enemy moving in blobs like this, cannon fire will be pretty darn devastating through them. Alright, well, let's see if any of them manages to cross the bridge. But I suppose if they don't, we've still got bloodthirsters to contend with eventually. And alright, looks like the enemy's reached grape shot range and will continue getting gunned down as they attempt to cross. Fired upon from above and from below as well. Haven't even had to drop any bombs on the enemy as yet, but who knows how long we have to attempt to survive the onslaught. Alright, and it's interesting that they decided to send piles of demon units on one side and piles of mortal units on the other side. What was the reasoning there? Maybe specifically so that the player could set up to contend with them, and that's why we put the magical damage dealing Thunder Barge over on this side. Alright, it looks like the elite most have arrived. A regular Bloodthirster has appeared on the right bridge, and will be heading towards us. We'll be ignoring the Furies in favor of firing upon the Bloodthirster, while hopefully our Gyrocopters, Gyro Bombers, Thunder Barge, and those Slayer Pirates down below deal with the Furies. Can't have them reaching the Thunder Barge, so we're going to have Melkot's Mystifying Miasma come down from Ulrika, and that should be enough to get the first units of Furies melting away. The Bloodthirster is also in pretty darn bad shape, and a Harpoon takes 30% of its HP off and allows us to bring it down, and just as its Furies. That said, that was only the first Bloodthirster, and the enemy Lord has arrived. Great job to the AI, or probably to the battle designers, to have it move down the center line where we can't really fire upon it with artillery at all. And the other Bloodthirster should have probably done the same thing, but that does mean that this one will probably be able to reach us. We're going to have to react to it to some degree. Going to send those Gyro Bombers to gun it down a little bit, but of course I don't imagine they will have sufficient damage to bring it down, and that's only done about 10,000 HP. We've been saving the Spirit of Grungni and is now on the field as well, and we'll start firing its cannons and shortly its Harpoon at the... The heck was that? Alright, well, it fired its Harpoon, but it didn't quite connect. Let's say. Enemies are still trying to cross the bridge, but I think the bridges are relatively safe, as still protected by the cannons, and it's the enemy Lord that we have to be concerned with. There we go, moving towards the Spirit of Grungni and getting support from the other two battle barges, Thunder Barges from every side. We have Ulrika firing up into the sky, and the same with all of our Slayer Pirates. Maybe not all of them, but 3 of them, I think. And slowing down that enemy Lord. And he will drop down on Ulrika, but that's the only thing he'll be able to achieve, as he will melt away. Probably annoyed by that Melkot's mystifying miasma, which has been coming in surprisingly handy. Ooh, I like the shot of it in the smoke like that. Has been coming in surprisingly handy to slow enemies down, especially single entities in this particular army. And with the fall of the enemy lord there, well, frankly, there wasn't even all that much left of the enemy army, but what is left will begin its chain route. There we go, gonna get a couple more shots. Those Knights of this Brazen Throne, oh wow, I'm glad they never got to reach our lines. Those guys are pretty darn devastating. You got to love their armor, though it's not looking like it's going to give them too much protection from all this cannon fire. Alrighty, and there we go. With that, the battle is ours, a heroic victory apparently, but, well, I would say once we saw that we were given a choke point fight here, it was expectedly so. Ooh, plenty of cash out of that one. Certainly something we needed, and I'm very happy about it. Very, very nice. Otherwise, we did pretty darn well. Rather, one unit lost, and it was one of the Slayer pirates who was not killed by the enemy, but rather by one of our cannons clipping it. I do feel like that particular battle was essentially designed to be fought that well. I mean, obviously it was designed to be fought that way, but since it's supposed to be done with organ guns, whether it be cannons or organ guns, the enemy was locked into moving down a narrow choke point with droves of infantry, which were always going to suffer massively, whether it be against whichever type of artillery other than bolt throwers, probably. So, yeah, that was always going to go very well, and go very well it did. We will take the, I guess, tiny amount of money rather than healing the one Slayer that died there, as everything else is not worth our time. The ransom captives, please. Alright, Stonemason, victory over Khorne, Archivist, another Stonemason, there's that Rune of the Furnace, and Adventure Complete Bloodletting. Swell. And now, oh yeah, we have launch gyrocopters. Wait, I just want to double check. Is it every army that has this, or is it just Malakai's army? That's every army. Okay, that's really nice. That's really, really nice. It's only a single unit of regular gyrocopters, not gyro bombers, but it will help fairly immensely, I'm sure. Now, when we got an Archivist, can anybody carry Archivists, or is it... Wait, let me just see here. Archivist should be here. Oh, there it is. Alright, oh. Okay, you had room, just barely, but you had room, so take it. What do we have to do to get Archivist? Ranked up on the same turn as Researching a Technology. And Student is also ranked up on the same turn as Researching a Technology, but it... Huh. But why do we have so many more students than archivists then? Why, game? Answer me. I have no idea, but anyway, Malakai, I guess you're just gonna keep healing, sir. And we're gonna head on over to Blizzard Peak and then challenge the old Toad Dragon as well. Not like we can really rely on our Kislevite allies to do anything else. Speaking of our Kislevite allies, Twisted Towers guts to go to you. Like, so we're gonna take the... I was about to say we're gonna take the money, but you have no money. Whatever. Enjoy. Unfortunately, Boris's AI isn't really doing anything, as in we've given them all this territory, but they only still build their basic troops. I mean, look at this garbage. Kossovite dervishes, of all the things to spam, you're much better off spamming piles of Kossars than piles of Kossovite dervishes, and the AI needs to understand this if it wants to do anything. But yeah, I really hope that they fix the AI with territories given to them at some point, someday, some way, etc. Anyway, who's up next? Stochel. A moment, wait. I'm gonna check something. Ropsman clan, no, we're gonna betray you. Ooh. Military alliance. That's got potential, actually. Do we need you to declare war on anybody? No, you know what? Keep holding down the Fecondites. That's actually quite useful to us. We're going to take this for the additional allegiance, and we're going to take all the gold you're willing to give us as well. Why not? That was certainly worth our time. Then, back to Stochel. Now, Stochel, last time, or I don't remember if it was last time or between the episodes, I was looking at the ally missions like this and zooming to various targets to see, and... yeah, I'm too lazy to search it out, but anyway, there was a zoom towards one of their armies. Now, we know that one of their armies, which Stochel was chasing, went somewhere here into the dark. It could be here, or it could be here. I zoomed in using the mission thing, and I'm still not entirely sure whether the zoom... I mean, it's part of the game. It's not cheaty, even though it allows you to zoom in on armies you can't see, and it should be somewhere in this vicinity. So I guess what we could do is try to move Stochel up this way. And you know what? I guess we were planning to go to Infernius and then back to Silver Tower of Sorcerers, so it doesn't really change anything, but it should be somewhere around here. The zoom isn't perfect, but, you know, it works for our purposes. Let's do this. And then if we spot the... ah, there it is. Spot the army, can we reach it? I can't quite tell. Yes, we can. Fantastic. I do occasionally remember to use that ability. I mean, it's part of the game. It's not like... like, the game explicitly allows you to zoom in on things that you can't actually see to determine their general location. So, yeah, we'll make use of it. Do we need to fight this, is the question. I mean, technically we're an enemy territory. This is frankly kind of weak. And we could forgo it, though we would take damage and then attrition the next turn, but we wouldn't be able to reach the next area next turn anyway, probably, so that would mean we'd have a turn to heal up, which means I think we can freely just auto-resolve it. And let's see. Ah, that wasn't a lot of damage anyway. We could actually heal most of that back up, or we could take a little bit of cash. You know what? Let's heal it back up. That worked out well enough, and oh, Cold Hellblight Brass and the Blue Scribes are back once again. Oh, well, good for them. You, sir, come to March Stance. Try, I mean, you're an attrition anyway, you can't avoid it, so try to head to Infernius to make sure that we can take it next turn. And then loop back around towards the Silver Tower. Frankly, we're still trading all of this away, but it works for our purposes now. And then you will move to the Palace of Princes instead, while you move towards Shard Bastion. Though it's not actually Shard Bastion we want to go to, it's a frozen city where Sigvald is liable to make his very last stand. Alright, and you guys are looking good. Who's up next? King Lun Ironhammer. Ah, yes, you guys. You guys. Now, I would like both of you to do something. First of all, what do we have in terms of building here? Wait. Ice Court, no. Western Provinces, no. Great Orthodoxy. 18 for Frostworms. They're expensive, but I kind of want them in this army. And we're going to delete armies soon. I know, it's stupidly expensive, but nonetheless. I like the idea of putting them in here. So, Norgrim, I'm going to move you here. Yes. Alright, just have to try to figure out what's the way to do this. Ooh, Silver Pinnacle. Whoa, 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 you have the construct... oh, wait. No, don't move. I need him to stay here in Silver Pinnacle. Do we build this right now? This army's not ready for it, that's the problem. We could wait a little bit and recruit some other stuff. I really want to get started on this, but we don't know what the quality of the enemies that are gonna arrive will be like, or at least I don't, because I've never had anything to do with this sort of thing. I guess we could build some temporary troops and replace them with some stuff, just to add some range to the to these guys. Can we build cannon here? No. Can we build grudge throwers and cannon via global? We can, but they're quite expensive. We cannon. We forgo it, at least here. We do have the capability of building cannon out of Jarna Grund, though. Alright, maybe we'll wait for that. Alright, you keep moving this way. Then King Lun. How much does this cost without you there? Oh, you're still there. Okay, fantastic. King Lun, go here. I would like you to trade the Hammerer, that's basically the reason you're here, for the Iron Drake. The Iron Drake and the Trollhammer Gyrocopter are going to Grimbrindle. And these two are constructors, so they can stay here. Alright. The rest of that looks good. And then these guys will be deleted as needed. In fact, it's needed right now, so delete 2 of them. Like so. And build yourself 2 Frostworms. War Drums. War drums might actually be a really good idea in Ungrim's army. Very Slayer-heavy army. Slayers have no armor, but war drums can freely provide 24 armor, I believe, with their aura. It's not a crazy amount, but it will make the Slayers even hardier. And after all, Ungrim does have armor himself. That might not be a bad idea. Alright, I gotta keep that in mind, especially since these guys don't really have any of the advanced units available anyway. Oh, also there's landships to consider. And Hellstorm rockets, although with Malakai's upgrades our artillery is probably better. We do have demigryphs, which would serve a role that we don't really have otherwise. Alright, we'll give that some thought, but for now we are definitely building a couple of frost arms. Just because I want a couple of these sort of magical frostbitey units in this army to join the Hammer or Grudge Settlers, which also have frostbite on them. Which is quite nice. And, funnily enough, the frost worms don't do magical damage? That's odd. For some reason I feel like maybe they should do magical damage. No, either way. Not important. I guess either way, our entire army does, so it's not going to make any difference. You... do we recruit more than this? The Dwarf Warriors are really cheap, but without any range to speak of, it might be a problem. What you could do... Oh, actually, you know what? We were going to build Thunderers of both the Grudge Raker and regular variant for this army. Meaning, we could do that in this army and then swap some units. I like it. I like it a lot. Take out the Dwarf Warriors. Who needs them? Sorry, Dwarf Warriors. We've been relying on them for the entire campaign, and then Thunderers here. I should really stop adding additional expenses when we already have so many troublesome expenses, but, well, what can you do? Alright, that looks good, King Lun. And honestly, that might be enough to build this. Screw it, just build it, just build it. Just build it, we can deal. And if we can't, well then I will have learned a lesson. I'm kidding, I don't learn lessons. Anyway, Skorigny, okay, there's two things that need to be done with you. I did say we have a lot to do this particular episode. You need to be replaced by the other guy. So, Slayer Ward out, and level 20, I forgot what his name was, Callan Deepbrow. You're back in, sir. With your new points available. You also kept your Slayer Ward, nice, and oh, you also kept a bunch of items. Okay, you hold on to those for now. First, we need to go Inspiring Presence and definitely Grimnir's Heirs. I would like you to get Tapestry of Oaths to buff all the Slayers and Goblin Hewers, Ritualistic Scarring to buff Same, and Slayers to me to reduce the costs of Same. We'll go for Distinguished Slayer into probably... I'm gonna say Army of One, Slayer of Many, because the other two aren't as useful, but I do want to get Death Wish up and running. I'm gonna hope that we can get everything we want here with the points that we have, and oh, we need 2 points there, eh? Well, we're not fighting Demons of Chaos right now, so Demon's Bane and Death Wish, more bonus versus large and more bonus versus infantry for these guys, as well as Glorious Death for the Slayers when active. Next, we have to get Morgrim's Favored for the Goblin Hewers, and Tactician also for the Goblin Hewers. Alright, go for Tactician. Then Rally, and we have several points remaining, which gives us the ability to get Honored by Grimnir, which won't be active right now, and Morgrim's Favored and Stand Your Ground. And I think that's the main things that we want here. 1, 2, 3, and we have 1 extra point. Lovely. I wasn't expecting the extra point. We could get Demons Be Damned just because. We get Blade Master to have you hit a little bit harder. Root Marcher, ooh. Well, let's get Blade Master. Now, the thing is, we don't know whether this army will win, but this guy's level 20, so he's immortal, and everything gets deleted here if we also manage to delete everything here and here. The loss of both of these armies are kind of written into our books, expected, I should say. Grungni, you have no Rune of Oath and Steel, which would once again be good for the Slayers to give them additional armor, or we get the Rune of Hearth and Home. Immunity to Psychology isn't useful for the Slayers, but the Vigor per second probably is. I'm gonna say we might have more value out of the Rune of Oath and Steel. It'll make the Fragile Slayers fight a little bit longer, and it is fairly long in terms of duration at 44 seconds, so let's do that. And let's wait. Okay, now I wanted to check whether you have a basic version available to you regardless, but you do not, so and that's what we're gonna do. Then, all right, wait, before we move you, let's figure everything else out. There's a lot of planning that has to go into this. Ungrim and whatever your name is, Temporary Man. You will both attack Karak Vrag here. Like so, and together, because you need to transfer units to each other. Can you go into an camp stance? You can, but yeah, just fine, just go into a camp stance. A little bit of extra bonus defense and leadership for when we auto-resolve you. Then, Ungrim, take this. This is obviously auto-resolve, assuming that nothing will die. And by the looks of it, nothing will. Lovely. And, ooh, tempting, but it's a territory we're keeping, so occupied. Another Slayer Ward. Everybody gets the Slayer Wards, except us, and for most of the campaign. Then... Prominent secured Gashka Drex. Swell. We are going to immediately pop and power the guilds. I guess we could repair you, though there's no guarantee we keep you. Also, Karak Vrag in Fort... Ooh! We have cannon recruitment here. Huh. Get the gem mine shaft. We do want defenses as well, but for now I think you can hold on. You repair this. And this is reasonably cheap, let's get that. We still need the economy flowing. Then, Grungni, I would like you to move towards Ungrim. And trade. The things that you need to trade are you, and the Thane. Everybody else is staying. Right? Then we trade him the Doom Seekers, all of these regular Slayers, until we replace them with Giant Slayers and more Doom Seekers, as Ungrim's gonna have the expensive Slayers. And we... You know what? I think we're going to give him a couple of cannons for the long-range capabilities. In addition to the Goblin Heroes. Oh, let's face it, they don't function as actual artillery, like, a decent amount of the time. And Ungrim would probably like something long-range, plus his army, despite being very Slayer-heavy, needs to be a little bit different from our other Slayer army. Almost tempted to take away the Slayer Pirates, because we're not going to keep Slayer Pirates in this army. So, you know what? Take the Slayer Pirates, take back this one Dwarf Warrior, we'll keep the rest. Like this. Like this. Alright, is that good? Hey, that puts us to minus 22, good. Yeah, all of this to later be replaced. We don't need a Thane. We have the Runesmith. We probably don't want or need an Engineer either, although... Wait, does it do engineers? Let me just check something. Sapper gives missile unit speed. Okay, I just wanted to double check, because if it gave all units speed, then we would need an engineer. But a single engineer is probably not worth it for the relatively limited amount of stuff we have here, and most likely we'll be replacing the Goblin Hewers with proper artillery here as well. Yeah.
Lord of Clan Morgrim.
Alright, I'm happy with that. I just had to double check. Alrighty, what is up next? King Lun, blah 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 blah. Callan Deepbrow, you're about to move, sir. Barundin Stoneheart, you're about to move as well. And who the heck is Finbar Heldar? Oh, right, you. Alright, so, Barundin, I will need you to spend your 1 point. Is there anything here for 1 point that could be really helpful in this battle? You have a decent amount of Longbeards. We probably will never get you back, as in we'll delete you and you'll be gone forever afterwards. After we're done with Sylvania, because your trait isn't good enough to keep. Meaning, for this one battle, we'll probably use Axe Lord to buff up the Longbeard slightly. Alright, then you are going to besiege Castle Drakenhof, and we will have to attack it because if we stay in siege, these guys will attack us, and these guys are in march stance right now. Can we win this? Valiant defeat? Maybe. Like I said, I wouldn't mind if we sacrifice these armies. I think that we have to make a gamble here. Go attack, or go join Barundin. A little bit of extra help. And speaking of extra help, what we're also going to do with this... you're gonna get hard to hit. Alright. Now, the way to win Castle Drakenhof is, it seems it doesn't have defenses. Meaning... Oh wait, I feel like I remember the map that Castle Drakenhof is, and that one won't have towers attacking us anyway, if it's still the same. I'm pretty sure it is because we've taken an Elspeth's campaign, which means we're fine. Kellon, you're going to need extra units as well. And we're going to temporarily get you the... Just get the PK card temporarily. They're obviously going to still go into our Hammer army, but for now we'll... Yeah. We'll get you that. And either Ulthar's Raiders or Ekron's Miners. Once again, temporarily, just for this attack, because I feel like we need it. I'm going to say... The thing is, we're probably mostly going to have Bugmans in the... in Belagar's army, as I feel like most of his buffs will be wasted on the Rangers with great weapons, as the enemy actually has to close the distance to actually move towards them. And Bugmans are just superior in pretty much every way, just due to the distance they have, and the fact that they have silver shields. Meaning, we might want to put these guys in a different army, which I do have an idea about. You know, let's get these guys in here for now. The thing I'm concerned with is, how are we going to kill Vlad? How are we going to kill Isabella? How are we going... Well, no, we could probably kill the monsters, but these guys are going to be a very big problem for all of you. But that will have to wait. For now, Barundin. Gonna get you a little bit more help in the form of the Forge and Character Rune. Where are we here? Master Rune of Spite. Direct damage, Mortis Engine effect. And then we'll take it away from you because you're gonna lose it if you die next turn, which is distinctly possible. This is unfortunately pretty much all of our Oath Golds, so we won't be able to get anything else, but we can certainly make some use of it here. Now, you guys aren't immune to psychology, unfortunately, Thanes. We'll need you up on the walls. We're gonna give you all some temporary items as we head up to fight. Rune of the Furnace gives us what again? Armor reduction, eh? Do we have a Slayer? We do have a Slayer unit. You know, take this temporarily for this one battle. Just before we assign it. We'll take the Rune of Battle as well, because they're free. And what else do we have here? War Banner, Leadership, Rune of Courage, Immunity to Psychology. You know what? Yes, Rune of Courage. We're going to need it here. Rune of Discipline, Banner of Eternal Flame. I really don't want to lose that, because we only have one, and I'm not willing to risk it. Let's see, Rune of Penetration, Scarecrow Banner. That might be useful for the other army. Dwarf Brides, okay, nothing else here. What about basic items that we're willing to risk? Not anything super expensive, not Armor of Fortune, not willing to risk you. Let's give you Ironbeard's X. It's unlikely that you'll die here, but yeah, let's let's be careful here. It's probably not now that you're as likely to die as it would be next turn. Glittering Scales, melee attack bonus versus large. Oh, I also need to actually give you that rune. Wait, is it in magic items? I forget where the regular runes are. Rune of Spite, Rune of... Master Rune of Growth, One Eye. What do you do again? Discouraged effect, leadership reduction, and fairly significantly as well. And leadership to ourselves. Who's this on, though? This is on Ungrim right now. Wait, why is it on Ungrim? It shouldn't be on Ungrim, because leadership is useless on him. Or at the very least on his entire Slayer army, meaning you can take this Master Rune of Growth One Eye, possibly for this battle. And... okay, let me just try to find it here. Oh, there it is. I should have checked here earlier. Alrighty, and just get your Talisman of Endurance. Now that we've invested this many runes in this army, we can't afford to lose this battle, even if we can afford to lose the next. And there's a few basic swords and stuff here that I'm too lazy to give to the Thanes, so I'm just not gonna. Take the Troll Slayer's Gauntlets, and I think that's gonna be good enough, or at least I'm too lazy to do anything else with it, so we're going to go with this. And hopefully take Castle Drakenhof. A valiant defeat. Well, it's a distinct possibility, but we'll give it a shot. Rune of Battle. Okay, who are we sending up where? We do have a Rune Hammerers. Melee attack +6 and bonus versus infantry. We will probably be sending the Longbeards up the walls, meaning we need to pop the Rune of the Well, the Rune of the Furnace can only go on the Slayers, and I guess the Goblin Hewers. And I guess we can give all the other runes to the units that are definitely going to be up on the wall, trying to take it. I'm not 100% whether we'll be sending the hammers up there. We might have to use them to go through the gate. Although these Longbeards rout up on the wall, that'll be a big problem for us as well. Well, that's all we can do, I think. We'll have to try to figure it out as we go. Let's try this.
For the ancestors!
Alright, for the ancestors, short is simple, but that's okay, we've got a lot of fighting to do. Now the way that we're going to do this, I'm just going to speed this up while we actually put everybody into position. Doing a little bit of damage to that unit of Khorne race, but otherwise, the enemy has a lot more units than we do, and a lot of units that are going to be a problem for us. Mortis Engine, I think 2 Vargulfs, some flyers, including the enemy lord as well. We don't want to fight those units directly, so what we're going to attempt to do is to take the walls and hold those walls and then fire down upon the enemy with our range units instead from the walls, and thus prevent the enemy from making good use of their Vargulfs and all of their cavalry. Hopefully this will allow us to carry the day, though it remains to be seen. The Longbeards are going to head up the wall first, followed by the 2 Thanes and our lord, who are climbing up there as well, and will hopefully be able to hold together. Looks like for whatever reason this unit of Khorne race tries to loop around, but yeah, it's one of those issues where I don't even know what this is. Like they're going out of here and trying to climb up the wall, and I tried to order the hammers to actually hit them, but it's kind of buggy and the hammers just don't really follow this order. So we're gonna just try to put them here and hope that they can whack away at those Khorne rates a little bit. Not a guarantee that they will, because this has always been kind of bugged. In fact, I can see the Khorne rates attacking and most of the hammers are just sitting there. Okay, well... Well, let's hope that we can do sufficient damage to them to start them melting away. Anyway, for now, it looks like not a lot of enemies are going up on the wall, so this is working reasonably well for us, and the limited numbers of units of Graveguard should be ripped apart by our Longbeards, especially in this particular case, as they are Longbeards with great weapons. We have a unit of Ghouls moving on to the right flank, I guess. And one of our Thanes is going to hopefully hold them back. They aren't really a threat to it, while we dish out additional damage to them on their own flanks with our Longbeards units. And hey, we haven't watched Thanes fight too much. I mean, we only have Bernie, really, who's been doing Thane work throughout the campaign so far. I guess we will have 3 Thanes in King Lun Ironhammer's army, but, well, it'll probably be a bit before they actually get into their first fights. Anyway, more and more enemies are moving up on top of the wall now, so getting a little bit more dangerous, and it's time to summon our newly acquired gyrocopters. They are regular gyrocopters, but they do still have bombs, and we'll drop them upon 3 units of Graveguard and skeletons and whatnot before continuing to gun them down a little bit. Unfortunately, the enemy will react to that with the enemy lord and Fellbats, and we're going to just move those guys away to attack from other angles while we wait for the bats and the lord to land. Lots and lots of wall to work through, and the enemy once again still very heavily outnumbers us, including in terms of balance of power. So we're just going to have to keep on working at it. Enemy lord looks like he wants to go after our Thane, and we're going to try to send everybody, all of our heroes and our lord at him, while we continue working on all of this. Now, this is one of the battles where we have a fairly nice elevated position for our units, and our Thunderers can actually fire up on top of the walls and slightly over them, and to help out a little bit against these particular units of Graveguard that are heading down here. Looks like there's a 2-on-1 now as the enemy lord attempts to land and then lifts off again, and then lands again. Alright, being a little bit odd, but that's alright. Hopefully our lord will be able to bring him down. Enemy Graveguard are up here in fairly big numbers now, and it's starting to get a lot more dangerous for the Longbeards. Unfortunately, there's going to be a bit of an issue here, which I will show you guys in a second. For now, we're going to bring up our unit of... Wow, that is a very, very broken texture. Looks like my PC can't handle the... wow. My PC can't handle this battle. There may be too many units on the field, and it's going a little bit crazy. But anyway, we bring these guys up to hopefully get a few shots into this pile of Graveguard. They should, in theory, be able to arc over the wall. And just like the Thunderers are doing, if these guys had just a little bit more range, it would be easier. Like I've said before, they need like 10 to 20 more range. Maybe only if they're led by, I don't know, by Demon Slayers or something. Anyway, we're going to try to reposition those to get those guys firing, but it looks like the enemy has the numbers up on top of the wall now, and we need to get our own units up there. Fortunately, though, the enemy lord is having a tough time dealing with our lord and now both of the Thanes, and it looks like they will be able to surround him and destroy him, which will be a pretty big boon to our battle, to our army, whatever. Alright, a couple more hits. Somebody bring him down. Oh, he's still got 1,000 HP, 850 HP. And is that an invocation in the heck? It might have been, but it wasn't on you, so we should be able to force you to crumble and at last to fade away. Alright, fine. Lift. Rude. What was the point of that? Actually, one thing it does do is it switches the orders from our heroes, but not good enough. That said, our Longbeards are starting to look like they're getting overrun. We have finally found some range with our Goblin Hewers. We're getting a few shots off into this pile of Graveguard up here. Several of our units of Longbeards are now pretty heavily damaged, and we have managed to get 2 units of Quarrelers up here. And that said, they're being attacked, and they aren't getting too much in the way of reinforcements. As I wanted to point out, the Slayers were down here, and the Hammerers were down here, and these guys are down here. There's a reason why they weren't up here. They refused to climb. These guys refused to climb as well. You can see they've put up the ladders, and I tried clicking like 50 million times on both of them. They don't go. They refuse to attack the gate. They refuse to climb. I don't know if there's a hard limit on the amount of units that can be on walls at a time, or what's going on here. But unfortunately, this means our Quarrelers here are trapped without help from the melee units. It's kind of bizarre, because I don't recall this ever happening before. I mean, climbing walls has always been a little bit wonky, or at least pathing has always been kind of wonky with regards to that, but I don't recall units ever just sort of refusing to do anything. They kind of just sit there and follow no orders. And up on top of the walls, they're kind of doing the same thing, where they're not even willing to sort of change their positions. They're just sort of fighting where they are. But hey, at least they're fighting. And since we are still able to arc over some shots with the Goblin Hewers, we have been able to reduce the numbers of the enemy Graveguard up here fairly decently. At the very least with one unit of the Hewers. The Longbeards are still holding after all, and with the enemy lord not here, we are able to reduce the enemy numbers, and extra shots that are failing to hit up on top of the wall do seem to be dropping down below as well. We are trying to specifically target down here as well, but I think only one of the Goblin Hewers was able to achieve it. For some reason. I tried putting the other one in the same position, but it didn't want to fire. I guess it was just a perfect position for that one particular unit. Anyway, unfortunately the Quarrelers have been pretty heavily damaged, but at last a unit of Dwarf Warriors with great weapons arrives up here and allows these guys to back off. The Slayers still seem to refuse to climb, and these Dwarf Warriors with great weapons do so as well, in fact even taking some shots from the fort tower rather than doing so. This was really not the time to get screwed over by a bug. I thought that maybe what was happening was the enemy was trying to get all of its units, like the AI giving like 1 million orders and trying to dock all of its units all over the wall, which prevented us from trying to do so. But I don't think orders from different factions, A, should overlap, and B, I wasn't telling all of these guys down here to do that. I was just telling them to, I was just clicking on the ladders for them to climb like everybody else. And similarly, it wouldn't, well actually it would explain why these guys up here weren't changing positions. But once we reduce the numbers of enemies on the field, it does seem that it enables some units to start climbing. So there's a few less units up there. It looks like the miners have started climbing, and the dwarf warriors that were standing here with them are now able to climb up there as well. A little late, guys. A little late, especially since so many Longbeards have fallen to the onslaught of the dead. But hey, the plan is still working, perhaps a little bit worse than we would have liked it, but it is still working in that the enemy has not been able to leverage its cavalry or its super elites like its Vargulfs. We just have to hold our ground, and holding ground is something dwarfs do pretty darn well. Really would have liked our range units to be able to contribute to this, but for now, at least there's still plenty of enemies to clear. And hey, we're getting some great shots of the melee happening up here as we slowly attempt to take this wall. That said, not much to say about this particular battle tactically, but it's a pretty fun battle. And nonetheless, I actually always really enjoy fighting up on top of these walls out here, which is why I was disappointed about the bug, but at the least our melee units were able to fight. Alright, it looks like the wall, while not quite clear, is in a lot better shape than it was before, and perhaps we can start moving our corridors to take position. Looks like sufficient enemy units have been reduced for this unit of dwarf warriors to start climbing as well. Hammers are... Well, now the hammers are able to climb as well. Seems like there's been like some kind of, I don't know, limit reached, and everybody can climb and follow orders again. Very strange. I think that with the, I don't know, many hours I have in the Total Warhammer titles, or just Total War titles in general, I would have encountered this before. Kind of curious that it's here, but I am interested to hear from you guys if you've encountered something similar. And whether there was something specific to it. As in, there was something that you might know that would be causing the bug. Alright, either way, we still have enemies to take. The balance of power remains in the enemy's favor, and we've certainly taken quite a bit of damage up here. Fortunately, though, our Lord and Thanes are going to be very tough to bring down, especially by Graveguard and zombies. Well, at the very least by Graveguard with sword and board. I do believe they had some great weapon Graveguard, but I know we've destroyed one of the units of them. And if they don't have any more, once again, they'll have a tough time penetrating the dwarven armor. Ooh, I love the enemy units actually dropping off the walls there. This is one of the good things about having lords and heroes fighting up here, as due to their splash damage and knockback effectiveness, they can send units flying periodically. You were supposed to do that when I said, there you go, there you go. And a few more units drop down. And how's our range units positioning? Finally, the Slayers are able to get up here as well. And it looks like the range units have at last started to take orders. The Iron Drakes have been moved up here to where they can hopefully start firing on the enemies with their Troll Hammer torpedoes, and hopefully the Fire Drake variant will do so as well. Alright, come on now. Actually fire, please. You were needed here to do this for a while. Alright, well, they are kind of firing at will by the looks of it, rather than doing it so in a volley. And our flamethrower units have reached up here as well. And we'll hopefully start cooking the units below the walls as well, while being protected by the Slayers who have finally moved up here. And considering the enemy continues to slowly trickle forces up here, it does make sense to do so. There we go, a few nice shots into that blob of zombies. They're just milling around below us. And it looks like the wall, while it hasn't been completely fully taken by us, is nearly ours. And once we hold the wall, we can fire down upon the enemies. The balance of power has shifted to maybe 45% in our favor now. The Vargulfs are running around uselessly down there, as they can do nothing. And we certainly have the advantage now, and similarly the enemy cav can do nothing about any of this. Alright, just keep working our way through all those infantry. Once they are no longer a threat, and then we can put every range unit into the best positions we can, fire down upon the enemy, establish a beachhead, start moving melee units down there all the while, and they have range support. Time to turn to the sort of reverse siege aspect of this particular battle, as if we were the ones that were holding the walls. And there we go, finally the Iron Drakes with flamethrowers are putting in decent work. It looks like we're getting a few volleys from our Trollhammer torpedoes down upon the Vargulf, and it's taken fairly decent damage as well. And gotta get a few more, and if the enemy should choose to move its cavalry in, well, they will most definitely suffer for it. And there we go, it looks like the wall is pretty much ours now. Alright, you need to actually attack. There you go. Of course you jump out of camera view, of course you do. That's alright. You put in a lot of work, Mr. Thane. 104 kills and, let's see, 104 kills and 8.6k damage, not bad. Nothing crazy, mind you, but at the same time, they've been tanking a lot of hits for the rest of our army. Alrighty, now we hold the wall. Most of the enemy units below have been melted away, and it looks like the Vargulf is just about done as well. If we can get a few more troll hammers to actually hit it, it will be dropping. There we go. Looks like it melted away for good. And with that, the battle is fortunately pretty much ours. Yes, it's still balance of power about 40% in the enemy's favor. But they just don't have the units to really do much of anything anymore. Ooh, nice knockback on that other Vargulf. Repeated knockbacks on the Vargulf running around down here. Corlers are starting to finally put in some work after being screwed over by the bug. And I think there we go. That was pretty much the interesting aspect of this particular battle, and we can just speed it up while our units gun down whatever units remain down there. And if the units should refuse to move towards us, we can once again simply establish a beachhead and sort of creep closer to them. For example, with our units of Goblin Hewers. We do still have to capture, though. Actually, we don't have to capture the gate. Or do we? Huh. I think at this point, I mean, oh right, there's a desync. I think at this point I had destroyed the gate with the spare unit of Goblin Hewers. But it doesn't really matter because, well, the enemy can still do nothing. Oh, they had a unit of Graveguard down there. Well, what are they? I don't think they know what to do. They could try to go up the walls, but we have range support here. They're just milling around. And this is what I'm talking about with the whole reverse siege thing. Where are you gonna go now? You got all the advantage you were gonna have from the presence of the bug, and I believe that unit is pretty much the last. Yeah, there's still some Hex Wraiths running around out there, but they will get cooked if they try to move on in. And there we go. With that, the enemy army will shatter, and the battle will be ours. Tiny bit of desync, but otherwise, the battle pretty much went exactly as it was supposed to. Just a small desync towards the end. I think the desync occurred when, or started occurring maybe, when I broke down the gate with whatever units, and then we were not able to witness what happened exactly the same afterwards, but that was only in the last like 5 to 10% of the battle, and after all the infantry had been cleared, which was once again the main portion of it. Alright, well, that did work. It did work, but the bug really did screw us over quite a bit in that we took way more damage than we were supposed to and couldn't really use our Iron Drakes of either type or our Quarrelers nearly as much as we would have liked to either. Really quite annoying, but what can you do? And at the end of the day, we still did manage to carry the day, and we'll have to, I guess, try to send this army at something else in order to survive. Now, we could sack the place for a solid 17k, however, if we are to hold on to Castle Drakenhof, and it does have a gold mine, which I think the Dowie would be at least somewhat reluctant to give up, we would take it at tier 4, I think? Was it tier 4, tier 3? Either way, it's a high tier gold mine, and might still be worth our investment. Oh, and of course, of all the stuff, it didn't take the gold mine, the most important thing. Of course. Game. Okay, I guess we can mine oath gold and regular gold here, in theory. Gotta try to maybe trade Castle Tempelhofen to these guys for Schwarzhofen and complete the province, assuming that we can take Eschen, though I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Anyway, you could build these guys, but they would at 1 turn each, eh? Replace the regular dwarf warriors or other units of Longbeards. There's certainly potential for this, especially as these units are damaged. We just have to be careful in the way that we do it, as... Oh, you can't actually reach Castle Drakenhof. Oh, that's interesting. I wasn't expecting that. Vlad can reach it. They could besiege it together, but if we manage to destroy Vlad, or at least damage his army heavily here, then you'll be alone. You would then be able to counter that by attacking Waldenhof back and probably destroying this army, depending on how much damage it takes fighting Vlad, but it's still interesting. Anyway, there's still things to consider here, but they will have to be done next time, as we are out of time, and I'm gonna call it here. Actually went on far longer than I was expecting it to this episode, but hey, we got an important battle out of the way. Next time we continue with the Sylvania Gambit, while probably ending the turn and trying to see if Belegar survives against Stickit, and gotta get that champion of Khorne down as well. So stay tuned for all that. Don't forget to leave those likes and comments below. All glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.